Hello, my name is Mike Washabaugh. This talk is on pharmaceutical quality management systems, or QMS, specifically for small molecule drugs. As an overview of QMS for small molecules, a pharmaceutical QMS is a set of procedures and practices that contribute to product quality. A QMS is used to verify whether the manufacturing process meets acceptance criteria. It's designed to ensure a high quality final product. QMS focuses on individual processes and personnel involved in product manufacturing and prevents deviations from quality standards. A small molecule drug is an organic compound that affects a biological process. They tend to have a relatively low molecular weight, around 900 Daltons or less. These are chemically defined molecules that have less testing burden and characterization required than biologics. And they don't require a potency assay like biologics do. Their dose is based on mass. You just weigh them. So what is a pharma QMS? A QMS develops and ensures quality procedures across the product life cycle, such as manufacturing and product testing. A QMS includes all the critical stages of drug manufacturing. That includes formulation, method development, and equipment, facilities, and utility systems. It safeguards that the final product meets customer and regulatory requirements that a manufacturer must follow. In addition, it uses monitoring methods to prevent quality deviations, and it emphasizes documentation to record all problems and their solutions. In terms of the path toward commercialization, a quality system and levels of GMP increase as you move across from left discovery, where R&D occurs, through commercialization, passing through preclinical studies and then clinical development programs until you end up at a commercialization. As you can see, the level of good manufacturing practice, need for calibrated certified equipment, qualified equipment, validated methods, and process validation and impurity controls all increase as you move from left to right. The real inflection point occurs at first in human clinical studies, phase 1. In terms of applicable regulations and standards, the ISO, otherwise known as the International Organization for Standardization, is the current standard for QMS. The current good manufacturing practice, or C standing for current, GMP, good manufacturing practice, is a regulation enforced by regulatory authorities. FDA is responsible for the safe production of drugs in the US, with CDER, with a D, for small molecule drugs. It focuses on manufacturing process and inspections for compliance. The ICH guideline Q10 is very important and provides a consolidated structure for quality procedures based on established standards. Regulations and standards include the 21 CFR guidelines for the FDA for CGMP compliance. Part 211 applies specifically to CGMP requirements for finished pharmaceuticals. And Part 11 applies specifically to electronic records and electronic signatures, which are especially important for source documents and the integrity of your data. The main pillars of a QMS can be broken down into 7 pillars. There's process and production control, design control, product surveillance, the resources within your company and its environment, how your company manages change, and the last 2, which I consider the most difficult in my experience, corrective and preventive actions to eliminate nonconformities, including continuous improvement, and how you verify the effectiveness of your improvements. And then finally, management responsibility, including management reviews your readiness for inspections, and how you do internal audits to make sure that you're up to compliance. In terms of the elements of a QMS, I wanted to point out that the corrective action and preventative action, otherwise known as CAPA or CAPA system, is I have found to be relatively challenging as a leader in the industry. And it involves 7 components. The first 4 components involve the corrective actions. The first is identifying the issue, evaluating the issue is number 2. 3 is investigating the issue. Number 4, analysis of the issue. Then it shifts into the preventative actions. At number 5, you have an action plan. Number 6, you implement your plan. And after a period of time, you have follow-up to see how your preventative actions are working. This is a culture. It needs to be part of the culture of your company and has to be taken very seriously. Continuing, management review is another challenging pillar. Management review involves inputs, which can be previous management reviews, performance of your process, various audit findings, non-conformances, any feedback from customers, and any CAPAs that have been set up, with outputs that are basically improvements and whether you need to increase your resources or capabilities. The management review is a formal and periodic assessment. It has to be done regularly, and it has to be taken very seriously. It's meant to be an extensive review of the complete system to consider possible improvements. It's a review of the system status and any progress you've made toward your objectives. And importantly, it provides a method to change the system as the company's needs change. Again, it's a cultural piece. It has to be part of how your management runs the company. In terms of noteworthy points, accreditation of a manufacturing facility for CGMP and QMS to get that approved is not an easy task. It requires a sizable investment in capital, infrastructure, and workforce with the appropriate skill, knowledge, and expertise. It can be difficult for a startup company to set this up at the same level as a large pharma. I also want to point out that outsourcing, even to an experienced CMO or CDMO for contract development manufacturing organization, requires an innovator-led quality audit to certify that their QMS is compliant. Remember, you're the innovator and you own the data. In terms of setting up a QMS in a startup, a QMS for a startup in an early phase looks quite different from a QMS in an established large pharma. QMS for a startup can include the following. It tends to be simple and reduced to essentials. There's a heavy focus on documentation and record keeping, and a focus on robust, reproducible methods, assays, and processes. Scalability to support a company's requirements as your understanding of a product progresses. You want to keep it as lean and straightforward as possible. Carry it out efficiently within a limited infrastructure, but still be compliant and effective. It's essential to understand the FDA's requirements for these types of endeavors, whether you're in CDER versus CBER versus CDRH. In this case, we're talking about CDER. Initiating early FDA CDER conversations and implementing feedback can go a long way to expediting your development path. You can reach out to companies that provide quality management software for smaller companies to help have a lean, mean, efficient system. I recommend bringing in consultants who can determine your initial needs and what can or should be implemented. And finally, don't forget showcasing that the early R&D processes, methods, and product critical quality attributes, or CQAs, can be controlled, tech transferred, and are suitable for scale up and GMP manufacturing, and are supported by phase appropriate quality systems, is a major value inflection point for your company, and it can help build investor confidence. Thank you.